I rent out my South Carolina house on Airbnb whenever I'm not using it. It's a modest 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house by the beach. 2 of the bedrooms are guest rooms, which are accessible to the people renting it. The master bedroom I keep locked with my clothes and certain belongings in there. That room is for me, and I have to keep my stuff somewhere instead of lugging it back and forth every time I go down there. I have a regular lock and then a deadbolt lock on there, so no one's ever getting in there unless they chop the door down or break through the window. But also, it's not like I keep anything super expensive in there, mainly just clothing. This was early last spring. It was still chilly up in Massachusetts where I live most of the year. I wanted to take a drive down to my South Carolina house for the week. For the most part, I work remotely, so luckily I'm able to do this when I want to. Ordinarily, I'd have my usual cleaning lady come and clean the house after each guest leaves. The cost of her service is baked into the price of the rental on Airbnb. But since I was going down right after the current renter would leave, I just pocketed the cleaning lady money and planned on going down to clean it myself. The last renter was a guy named Ramon. Through our messages, he told me he was renting with his fiancée and asked for good restaurants to eat at in the area. He seemed trustworthy. I always prefer to rent to couples or smaller groups of women as opposed to groups of young men, because they're usually the ones to come and get shit-faced and potentially damage the place. I started my drive very early in the morning. It was about a 16-hour drive, stopping only for a quick bite and to use the bathroom. By the time I got to the house, it was about 10 o'clock at night. I went to unlock and open the front door first, before going back to my car to grab my bags and go inside. I was shot from driving. I didn't even bother checking the place out or anything for a mess. I just went straight to my bedroom door to unlock it. I collapsed into the bed without brushing my teeth or anything. For those that haven't done it, a 16-hour straight drive will absolutely kill you. I crawled under the covers, and I was out like a baby in a matter of minutes. You'd think I'd have slept through the night, but no, I woke up in a black room. The clock next to my bed read 11:30 p.m. I had only been asleep for a little more than an hour. Something woke me up. I grabbed my phone to check for any texts out of habit. Then I turned on the bedside lamp. I looked around the room, then got up and went out to the living room. I took this moment to start analyzing the place. I didn't notice a single thing moved. Not a pillow, not a can of beer, nothing. I went to the bedrooms. Both were void of any people, though the covers on a bed in one of the rooms seemed to have been moved. So yes, they did come. I thought they may have been the cleanest couple to have ever stayed in my place. I have a camera set up on the front porch of the house. I never really think to check it unless a customer is giving me any kind of hard time, but I was curious. I opened the app to the camera system on my phone and went to the movement history. It picked up on a man entering the house via the code lock 3 days earlier. Just a man though, he had no woman with him. Strange. I checked for any other movement updates from then until the moment I showed up, which it also caught on video, and there was nothing. I checked it over like 5 times. I suddenly got the chills. I went to the Airbnb app to message Ramon and ask if he checked out okay, even though it was late at night. I went to check the bedroom where I presumed he slept in. I started checking under the bed and in the closets. I was yanking the closet doors open as if I were ripping off a band-aid. Each time, I was greeted with an empty closet. I moved along to the second guest bedroom. Both twin beds in here were still neat and untouched. As I yanked open the last closet he could have been in, I saw that it was empty. I sat on one of the beds for a second to just stare at the conversation between Ramon and I. That's when I heard the master bedroom door click shut, quietly, in a way that a person would have done it, not a draft. I went out to the living room and looked at the master bedroom door. I said, "Ramon, are you still in here?" with a shake in my voice. No response. I could see the light was still on in the room through the bottom crack of the door. I got on all fours to look under the crack of the door, and I fell backwards when I saw 2 feet standing not far behind the door, maybe a couple feet away. I went to the knife holder in the kitchen planning to grab the biggest carving knife, and it was already taken. By this point, my only logical option was to leave the house and call 911, and that's what I did. I waited out front until the police showed up. Then as we went inside, there was Ramon, waiting in the living room, no knife in hand. He spoke in this Portuguese accent, acting all innocent, saying he just needed a place to stay for one more night, which was complete bullshit. He denied ever picking up the knife, which was conveniently placed back in the knife holder now. After 30 minutes of 2 police officers outside talking to Ramon and 2 inside talking to me, they actually let him go and told me I should contact Airbnb and try to work it out with them. And I was just shocked. I felt like the police didn't do their job. After everyone left, I changed the lock code on the door and I contacted Airbnb about what happened. Though I didn't receive payment for the extra day Ramon squatted in my house, they did apparently ban him from ever using the app again. It doesn't really feel like proper justice though, when he was potentially waiting to stab me in my own house, in my own bedroom. I'm 26 years old, still living with my parents. I'm not content with my job, and I'm in a relationship that I'm not too sure about. To say I've been stressed would be a monumental understatement. My mom and I were not getting along one week, and everyone was just bothering me. I wanted to escape for a weekend. I looked into little 1-bedroom Airbnbs up in the mountains, and found one for cheap. It was in Troutdale, Virginia, a couple hours away from us. And based on the pictures, it was this nice, private, and peaceful-looking little place surrounded by woods. It was the fall too, so the foliage was going to be beautiful. I told my parents I was going there for the weekend. My mom seemed overly happy about me leaving for the weekend. My girlfriend was more so just confused, finding it weird and suspicious that I was going away to some random cabin in the woods alone for a weekend. When Friday came, I packed a backpack full of clothes, toiletries, and my laptop, and I headed out for the road. It was around a 2.5-hour drive door to door. The area of Troutville was very quiet and scenic. It was a perfect escape from suburbia back home. I needed a nice weekend just to spend to myself. I was driving up a gravel road when my GPS told me I arrived. I saw an opening in the trees next to the road. The instructions the owner of the Airbnb gave me were to cut through this opening onto the grass and up the little hill. I did exactly this, and there I saw the cute little house sitting at the top of the hill. The second I stepped out of the car, I inhaled the fresh rural air, instantly feeling happy I did this. The owner told me where to find the key to the front door. I let myself in and checked the place out. It was a nice cozy living room, small kitchen, bathroom, and 1 loft bedroom that you had to climb a ladder-like stairway to get up into, and there was a circular window over the bed. Lots of light got into the house, which was nice. I went out to walk some of the trails the owner told me about a 5-minute drive away. On the drive back to the house afterwards, I noticed these 2 guys walking down the gravel road, and as my car was passing, they literally stopped in their tracks to turn and look at me as I passed. I waved and smiled, thinking they were friendly locals, but they didn't wave back. It was completely off-putting. They looked at me as if my driving down the road was a crime. I didn't look back. I turned into the entrance of the property and back up the hill. I started reading one of the books I brought with me in the living room with the fireplace going. It was incredibly cozy. The sun was on its way down, and after reading a chapter of my book, I realized I was getting hungry. I went outside to my car, about to drive to the nearest Walmart, when I noticed 2 men kind of running into the woods down the hill by the entrance of the property, probably in response to seeing me come outside. I wondered if it was those 2 guys from the road earlier. It was incredibly strange. I suddenly decided to take my laptop and backpack with me in the car while I was gone just to be safe. On the drive into town, I messaged the owner letting him know about this. He replied saying it's nothing to be alarmed about. There's a lot of teens in the area that walk around. So I dismissed it. I drove like 20 minutes to the closest Walmart since there were literally no grocery stores in the area. I picked up a few food items to hold me over, some milk, granola bars, fruit, frozen dinners, bread, and cold cuts. By the time I got back to the Airbnb, it was completely pitch black out. There were no streetlights on these gravelly roads, and with no neighboring houses, truly the only light was from my headlights. It was creepy for sure. I pulled up to the hill to the little house. It was almost hard to find in the dark. I grabbed my backpack and the grocery bag and went up to the house in the dark, using my phone's flashlight to see. Once inside, I locked the door immediately. It was creepy out there. I ate